Hello everyone, and welcome back to Beaglington-On-Sea. Yes, hello everyone. It's a miserable wet day out there as usual in Beaglington-On-Sea, with this time of year being the summer. But we've got some trains lined up to play with, and as you can tell by the name of the episode, there's some Nellies around here somewhere. Well, I think that's more Alex at the Desk's department, and we'll get to that later. And obviously the funnel, well, there's lots of funnels. It's a railway. So, what do you expect? So, yes, welcome back to Beaglington-On-Sea, and don't forget, if you like what you're seeing, you can like, comment, share, and subscribe. And, give us a bit of feedback, tell us what you'd like to see. And, yeah, we're just here to chill out and see some trains run on your favourite coastal railway. Then I hope you'll be entertained. So I've got some nice things lined up today, sticking with obviously Nellie as a Triang locomotive. I've gone for a sort of Triang theme to the first thing. So I've got a Triang Hornby B12 8509. Still haven't quite worked out the smoke generator on that, but it's working at the moment. So the locomotive, not the generator. And then that's on some teaks that I've done up, and then I've got my 3F that is in my sort of mock MSLR livery. Still needs MSLR written on the tender though, and that's pulling to Midland Clerestories, which I need to get number 1 more of, and number 2 interiors for, which I've learned you can do. So I'm going to see if I can do something about that in future. The only problem is I'm worried that the roofs will break. But, we'll leave Alex at the desk to do that. He can always glue them back together. And then on this line, I've got a class 06 06 04 495 333 A5. Yeah, that's the Robert Horn Paper Company Limited 06 diesel that my friend Larry got me a fair few years ago now for my birthday. And I really like this diesel, but I don't get to run it that much. I don't really run my diesel shunters that much because half of them are Sentinels and they don't work. But I've got that on my rather nice Great Western Triang operating mail coach, and a Packman Shrewsbury Great Western brake van. And so that will go down the branch line anyways to deliver the post. So I think we'll start off by running the B12, because it's probably going to be a bit stuttery at first because it's not run that much since I did it up. But get that going, and we should get the 3F going. Oh no, that's the wrong one. There we are. And with nothing having derailed in the first 5 seconds of this for a change, I'm going to get some footage of this change. got rubber harness arrived in liquid, so we can make sure the power's turned off there. And, the Triang V12 is steaming into the station right now. It's smoother than normal. Get better than this, you know. And there we have the 3F nicely pulled up in the station here at Beaglington-On-Sea. And now it's time to hand over to the old man of doom himself. It is the venerable, the miserable in this weather probably, but then again he loves being at the desk, so who knows? It's Alex at the desk. Take it away, Alex. Yes, thank you, Alex. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the desk with me, Alex, at the desk. And here I have some things wrapped up in bubble wrap, because I've been busy over the last couple of months now, looking for things on eBay, as you know, and well, as you can guess by the title of this episode, there are some 040 locomotives here wrapped up in bubble wrap. So I'm going to take the camera, I'm going to turn it around, I'm going to show you what I've purchased, and I'm going to see if any of it actually works. So yeah, let's turn the camera around, let's get cracking. So here we are at the desk, and I've got a piece of track to display things on. And first up, we're going to start with this old thing. Oh, I'm not doing Mr. Big. That's not going to go down well. So, yeah, I'm going to start with this, which is my Triang Nellie. Yes, I've made sure we've got focus there, and you can see she's very dusty and dirty because she's been sat at the back of the desk for a long time. I think I've had it now for a couple of years. And I bought this very cheaply. I think it only cost about £5. And I don't think I've ever tried to run it because I was worried that I was going to break it. But anyways, Nellie is based on Dougal Drummond's C14 and S14 class. Now, a lot of people say, oh, it's based on the C14. But basically, the LSWR under Dougal Drummond, he brought out a 220-040 locomotive called the C14 and the S14. The C14 was a 220 and it had cylinders in between these wheels. So this was a front sort of wheel and then this was the driving wheel. And they were designed to work with short trains like steam rail motors were. They weren't very successful. I think there were 7 or 10 of the 220s built 1906, 1907. And then they didn't really work out. They weren't particularly powerful. And Drummond said, right, well, I still like this. So he redesigned it into an 040. And it had outside cylinders at the front. So not like this again. And they ordered 5 of them in 1908. 2 of them were built and delivered in September 1910. But the other 3 were cancelled in like August 1910. And, you know, they had a life with the LSWR. And the Southern, they were on, the earlier ones I think were on Southampton docks. Later they were sold to the army or something. And yeah, so they don't think they made it into preservation. But in 1960, Triang decided it needed an 040, and this is the design that they went for. So you had Nellie in blue and Connie in yellow, Polly in red. Then they did a green one. There were 2 different shades of green in number 27. And then later Hornby had it and they did it in an SDJR blue, which was sort of dark, shiny blue with gold lining, I think. And it was in a train set with 3 dark blue coaches with yellow lining. And then they also did one with the Westwood phone number on that was bright red with a shiny dome. And if you remember Hornby's 70 Years of Margate thing, they had some terrible, terrible ex-Thomas models done up as these engines, which just made no sense whatsoever. So yeah, I'm going to open this up now and have a look inside and see what kind of motor it's got, because the earlier ones had, and I have one here, I think this is an X04, this one's missing bits, so it doesn't work, but they had a motor similar to this in it, whereas later ones had, I think later ones had a CAN motor in them. So yeah, this will be interesting to see what it's like inside after all this time on my desk. And I think over the autumn, I'm going to attempt to clean this one up and restore it. Do this without breaking it. There we go. Oh, that's it's not too bad. It's a bit dirty. Not sure how I'm going to clean it. I don't have any isopropyl alcohol or anything like that. The contacts look very worn. We'll bring that up there. And you see, it's just like a completely worn through piece of contact strip, but it's not too bad. There's some sort of oily residue on this one. I might have to try and clean that off between the contact and the wheel. I don't know if you can see it. It's like this black kind of gunk. But it's got a brass wheel there, brass worm drive. Everything seems to be there. I can't see why it shouldn't work. The wheels are very dirty. It's very old. The body's actually in pretty good condition. The buffers look good. The red on the buffer beams looks pretty good. There's no loss there. So I should think if I wash it when I'm doing it up to get all this dust off of it and then just touch up the black, I'd say it'll be alright. I'm not sure what we're going to do about the lining. Then again, I might paint it. I might spray paint it green, make an Irish locomotive out of it. Be kind of sweet. So we're going to try that on the track in a minute. We'll try a couple of them. Actually, weirdly, there's a securing lug is broken on here, and that's not in the loco either, in the body. But it's not there. But it still seems to be holding on. Normally it's the body that would be broken rather than the the lugs, because they're metal. Goodness knows how to get this back on now. Breaking it. That's on, and then we can put the screw back in. But that's the one that you've seen on my desk the whole time. Whereas now I'm going to show you my later purchases. And this is a quite early one, I think, because it's got solid wheels as well, you'll notice. You can't see it all the way through them. And there is an R number on it probably somewhere, but I don't know. You can see that it says Triang and Made in Britain just at the front here. Might not be particularly clear, but there you go. So that's that Nelly anyways. So I think I'll go for this one next because it's on the top. So this one, which I'd seen on eBay and I made offers for it, eventually paid a fair price for it, I think. This one is a later one, and it's had some work done to it, and it's this one. And it's numbered 13, which is kind of unlucky, and it's also called Thrush, which might explain the red wheels. But it's an unusual name for the locomotive, but you can see that it's had some work done to it. So these sort of cartouche bracket ends that are on the Nelly body here, they've kind of been ground down, and then it's had some sort of primer or something applied to it, and it's got a slightly sort of grainy look to it, this paint job, but I think it looks pretty good. You know, it's looking a lot better than the old Nelly here, and it's got new wheels. Anyways, these are new sort of Hornby wheels. Still got the brass worm. It's got new contact wire here, and you can see inside just here it's got the can motor. I'm not going to open this up now because you've already seen the inside of the other one, but this just has the later can motor in it, which should be pretty good. And it's got nice new screws on the thing. So it's had a good job done to it, and it looks very nice. So I'll put that there. That's 3 Nellies. And then I've got this one, which is, and I love buying repainted engines on eBay because you get to see how much someone loved a model and loved putting the work into a model to make it look unique. And this one is probably one of the favourite ones that I've bought. And I have no idea if it even works, but it'll look good on a siding. And it is this. So this is in an NCB livery, and I'll have to be careful trying to dust this down so that I don't ruin it. But this is hand painted. You can see they've hand painted the NCB and the Area 9 and the number 4. And they've painted all of the frames here red, which looks really cool, along with the blue and the red rods. The contacts, I'm not entirely sure what's going on here with the contacts. They're very long. And, you know, I'll have to bend that, I'd say, into shape so that they press against the wheels. But yeah, and I'll have to give these all a bit of an oil up before they go. But it looks like it's been run fairly recently because the wheels look pretty clean. So that's a good sign. They've extended the buffer beams and added these metal sort of strips to the front as well. So that's pretty cool. They've got bigger buffers as well. So again, it looks different. You've got the older one here, which has, you know, solid wheels and its original paint job for now. Then you've got this one, which has had a rewheeling and, you know, it's had some treatment to it. This one has, I mean, I don't know if these wheels are an original style of Nelly wheel that's sort of got holes through all the way through the spokes, or if they've been replaced. But the work that's been done to it to modify it to make it different is very cool. So you've got some nice lining on the back there, and it's number 4. This one looks to have an XO4 motor in it. Again, I'm not going to go opening this up because I don't want to damage the paintwork unless I have to. It's got some nice sort of banding done over the top and some extra gold sort of work done around the whistle. So that's very nice. I don't know about, like, is this meant to be weathering or not? I don't know on the top, or if it's just dirty. But I've got a cotton bud here. I can just dip it down and see. I don't know. It's coming off very easily, so it might just be kind of dirt. So that might just be, you know, it might just be very dirty. Either that or I'm taking off someone's nice coal-like finish, but I like it to be a bit cleaner than that. Yeah, that's looking a bit nicer already. That looks like it's been a bit dirty, but also cleaned a little bit. There. And a funnel there. Just clean the funnel. Whoop. There. That looks a lot better now. So yeah, that's a really cool engine. And finally, before I test these, I have a 4th one, and this one's actually really quite interesting. So obviously I've done a couple of reviews lately about the Play Trains range, which I quite like, but it's a name that Hornby have had for a while, because they had, previously they had some sort of Thomas stuff that ran in plastic track, but that plastic track system came from their original Play Trains system, and I think this is part of the original system. I think this is where it started, this thing that I've got here. So they were available in red and blue, maybe yellow, I'm not sure, with brightly coloured wagons, and they were push along and they ran in plastic track. And this one is still in the packaging I bought it in. You see, I've not opened it out yet, but this is Dixie, so that's a name you can add to the Nellie family. And so when you're thinking about whether Hornby still had the tooling or not to make Nellie, at one point they did, but they used it instead for this, which I can't get out of the packaging. And it's really quite remarkable to see it in these bright colours, squeaky wheels. How free rolling are they? Not especially, but pretty good for push along. And if we look here, we can see that the bit that used to say Triang is not there at all.
whereas on this side it still says built in Britain, and there's no branding on the bottom of this at all. And it's not got the screw hole on the back, but if you look very closely in certain lights, and I'll see if I can, you can just about make out the circle where the screw used to go in through the back. So obviously the tooling was modified in order to have it as this Play Trains model, and so it's not the same as the original tooling because they modified it, and obviously they took off the bit that said Triang, so they wouldn't be able to bring it back. They also changed it so that it didn't have the footsteps, because if you have footsteps on a kid's push-along toy and they broke off, it'd be a choking hazard. So that's why it doesn't have those. And you can see into the cab as well. It's just, you know, it's just lightweight, and I wonder if you could fit one of these bodies to one of this chassis. I don't know, but it's got this system here with the peg and the hoop, and that's similar to the later Thomas Clockwork stuff. You remember there's a Tidmouth Milk Wagon. They did another version of that in like a shell livery, I think, that was bright yellow. But yeah, so this is from the later Play Trains range, and Nellie was in the range until 1972, so this is after that, I'd say. But yeah, a really quite interesting toy to have, really, and funny to go alongside my Play Trains stuff. Obviously it's not going to work on Play Trains track, and it's somewhat smaller than their tank engine, so I don't think I could put the chassis into this from the other one, unfortunately. But it's a nice piece of modelling history, and to see what became of the Nellie tooling. And sadly I don't have any photos of the rest of the range, but go out there, Google, try and find the Triang Hornby Play Trains range with these in, because it's quite interesting. I don't know if anyone like Dave Angel or any of those other sort of Triang Collector Club people would have pictures somewhere, but yeah, so that's a nice little thing. And now we're going to test out the Nellies. Now there's some pretty good channels out there with like Triang stuff on them. I know that Oscar Paisley has a lot of sort of stuff, and was it Down in the Garage or something like that? They had a nice setup of Triang stuff, but yeah, it's time to test ours. So I'll start with Thrush, I think, because it's got the most modern chassis, and I've set up the power to about 50% on the red knob, but I don't know whether this is going to work or not, so bear with me. I'll put it this side so we can see it running. But that's already speeding up on its way anyways. Ready? Right, well, we'll see that running then, hopefully, in the next section. Now let's try the NCB number 4. This will be interesting because of the way that the contacts are, but here we go. Oop. Oh, look at that. I'll just go let's see if we can get it to go a bit slower. This was obviously on someone's layout in a coal mining setting, and they obviously loved it very much to put this much effort into it, and it's still working. So that's a really nice thing. Let me see how slow we can go. Well, it's noisy, but it's pretty smooth for what it is. Right, now let's try out the original Nellie. Nellie in origin form. Right. I can't promise that this is going to work because it's been sat around for ages. Right. turn it up to full power and we'll see if she's going to get a bit of life. Right, I'll turn it down in speed and we'll see. Right, well, that seems to have worked reasonably well. And I'll get the NCB and the thrush oiled up, and you can come back to the desk later on where I'll see if I can clean up this Nelly just a little bit for you.
Yes, thank you, Alex. And I've put up some of the Nellies on the railway. So Dixie is on shed with a couple of the other tank engines. Thrush is, I've stuck with the black and red colour scheme here, and I think it works quite well. I've got Thrush, and it's on... That sounds really bad. Anyways, the Thrush is on the engineering tool van, a match truck and breakdown crane, and the engineering thing. So it's like the crash train set kind of thing. I think the black and red thing works really well. So I think maybe Thrush might be the new engineering department locomotive for the breakdown train. So I think that works quite thematically well. And then I've got the NCB tank, which I've had a look at the contacts on because they're a bit loose. I've tried to apply them to the wheel, so hopefully it should work okay. And then I've got the... So I talked about the Hornby bringing out the X-Thomas thing as the 70th anniversary celebration. And so I've got my LBSC version. I have another one as well somewhere, Billy, who's a red one. This is the LBSC livery one, 629, and I quite like this. I wish the front bit here was painted brown though, and the back here, but if I tried to paint it brown it wouldn't match, so it would be annoying. So I've got that on an LBSC brake van, and this coach here, which is a funny one, it's the Triang Shorty Mark 1, but it's got the roof from a brake. I don't know why they did it like that, but it's got the roof from the brake version with the periscopes on, and that was from I think you can get it in a Clockwork set. You might have been able to get it in a couple of other sets that did have electricity, so I've got that one to run down to Pickwick as well. So we are going to get started by moving Thrush out of the station. I don't know how they're going to cope with the points, but she should be tough enough to handle the stiff roll and stuff that she's got there. And now we should start the the NCB Nellie, which I'll have to come up with a name for. And that is pulling the NCB brake van and some blue and red wagons. Thrush has stopped at the top of the hill, but I'll get that when I've got this going. And that starts to race it fairly well. Hopefully the contacts don't sag down over the points and cause it to be very thing. Right, let's get some footage of those trains running. Right, well, the LBSC 629 made it rather smoothly to Mick for a change, so we'll stop these here with the NCB logo. And the brush has pulled up in the station. So, obviously you saw there, well you might have saw, I don't know if I'll cut out the bad bits or not, but basically the NCB tank, I think its contacts just droop ever so slightly and get it stuck on the points over the other side, or its wheel profile might have something to do with that. And then thrush seems to be fine, but when it gets to the top of the hill, I don't know if it's to do with the change in level of the track. Sometimes the wheel kind of hops off a little bit, or it causes the engineer's vent to come off. But no fear, you know, when I'm running trains and I haven't got the camera set up or whatever, it's fine to just keep going and tinkering with it. You know, they're more toys than they are models, so if there's not some sort of play involved, you know, what's the point? So I thought they ran very well actually for their age. Bear in mind to say they're from 1960, for instance, like that NCB one over there, or that's what now, 1960 was like 60 odd years ago, so we're looking at these engines are about 60 years old, I think. Still running quite well, and I think the NCB one looks really good with these things, and I would like some more NCB rolling stock to go with it. But a fantastic paint job by the person that painted that up. It really looks the part, and it's very cool to have those extra elongated sections on the buffer beams. And obviously, like I said, the LBSC train made it. I mean, I managed to film it pretty much all in one shot of it going from one end to the other, which is quite impressive considering the floor is absolutely covered in stuff. I've got the Hoover and a bouncer and a microwave. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, so that's that set of trains run, and before I run the last set of trains, I'm going to hand back to Alex at the desk, who has got the blue Nelly, I think. So yes, take it away, Alex. Yes, thank you, Alex. Yes, hello everyone, welcome back to the desk. We're going to attempt to get this Nelly a bit more cleaned up. So we're going to attempt to clean the wheels and the rods maybe, because they look a bit rusty. I've got an old toothbrush here, which I'm going to use the Sandwich Trains method of cleaning the body and hope for the best. And I'm not sure what else I can do for it really. Maybe wipe the commutator a little bit, and maybe fix this, because this is a bit wrong, and clean up that wheel where there's like oily residue on the wheel under the contact. So first of all, let's turn the camera around and get her open. So first of all, we're going to take Nelly and we're going to unscrew the screw once again, and we're going to put it somewhere safe. We've got somewhere safe to put it. There's never anywhere safe around here. Right, I'll pop it onto the back of lorry 1. We can try and get this off without breaking that other lug. There we are. Right, so we're going to clean that up in the bathroom soon, and we're going to see what we can do with this. So the inside's looking pretty clean. I'm going to oil the wheels. I'm going to clean the wheels first, and I need to fix this. It's a bit wonky, so I don't know if I can just bend this back into shape, or if it's going to be stubborn. I mean, it's supposed to be flat. We don't want to lose where we're up there. Yeah, I'm not sure I can do too much about that really, besides replace it. But I don't think I have a replacement coupling like that at the moment. And just check the box. Box of spares. I have one that doesn't have a coupling on it. That's no good to me. No, doesn't look like I have anything usable at the moment. Right. Note to self, buy more spares. Right, so we're kind of stuck with that. If I ever paint this again, I think I'll paint that black.
I could pinch it with some pliers, but I'm not sure where my pliers are. So what's the next step? Probably cleaning the wheels. So I'll go get my rotary tool and set up somewhere to clean them. I think that's looking a lot cleaner than it was. This is quite dirty though. I think my hands getting quite dirty off of the model. So we're going to go oil these up now and clean that wheel there. Well, I think that's starting to look pretty good. Just try and wipe off any dirt that we can find. But that looks pretty good now. So we want to make sure we oil it now. Let's get my oil pen. Never really too sure about what I'm doing with oiling these things. I mean, normally you're supposed to oil the rods. And the rods actually on this side are upside down by the looks of things, so I'm going to take those off and redo them if I can. I don't think I have a fine enough screwdriver to do any problem. They might have to stay the wrong way up for now. Yeah, that's annoying. Oh well. Anyways. Yeah, I don't think they're not gonna come out. Oh well. But that's a problem I can sort out another time. Right, so just pop this onto the track and see if it works after I've done that. Right, so I'm going to place that onto the track now. It's on about 50% speed. Right, so now it's time to go and clean up the body, and then I'll run in a bit. Hopefully it should improve. So we're going to use the same strength method of cleaning. I've got some moisturising sensitive hand soap and a train and brush, and it might be a bit dirty to be doing this in the sink, but you haven't seen the kind of stuff the kids put through the sink. So I'm going to get some water on, going to get my brush and clean it a bit. And hopefully, in a moment or two, this will look nice and clean. So we'll speed this up now. Right, so we're back from the bathroom, and here we have Nellie herself. Just damp her down a bit. I'm going to leave her to dry for a few minutes, and then we can come back and reassemble her, and hopefully she'll look a bit cleaner and a bit nicer. I've got a cool fan heater I can pop her in front of, as I'm trying to follow the master's technique of how to do this. So yeah, maybe I'll go watch an episode of Salvage or Scrap on that beat. Well, I think that should just about do it for the top. The inside's nearly dry. I think we can just dab that with the kitchen paper. Doesn't look too bad in there now. We'll get that reassembled onto the desk and then hopefully onto the railway. So now we can put this girl back together, and she seems to have turned out alright. The discoloration of the black, there's still a bit of dirt and stuff, but I can go over that with actual paint at some point in future. And like I said, I might respray it into a different colour and then paint the black bits again. But for now, it'd just be nice if I could get her to run with the body on and all things working properly. So we'll pop the body on again. Seems to have gone on a bit easier that time. And lorry one still has the fixing screw, and we've got our screwdriver here. We're just gonna go and put that back on and make sure we don't over tighten it because we don't want to crack the body. There you go. That is looking much cleaner and brighter and happier than when she was stuck at the back of the desk. So now I'm going to pop her back on the railway and see if she goes. Now I'm going to pop it down to the track and see. Right. And with that done, I suppose I can hand back to Alex to pop this Nelly onto the train, showing the life of the old girl yet. Thank you very much for joining me at the desk in this episode, and I'm sure I'll see you around at the desk for another item soon. But for now, come on, up. Yes, well, thank you for those efforts, Alex. And we have the blue Nelly here, and who knows, maybe she'll become a green Nelly in future. You never know. And she's pulling a Triang freight train, so I've got a Triang open wagon. And then I've got a drop-sidey kind of BR wagon and a van, the Inselfish kind of van, and then BR brake van. Sorry, I was trying to remember what everything is. And then I've got Bluebell, and she is on 2 Hornby Clerestories in Blood and Custard, obviously based on the Triang tooling as we saw with the Engineer's Clerestory earlier on. And then I have my Triang BR Ochre / Brown Class 31 D5579, and that is pulling the empty Inselfish wagons back to Mickwick Harbour to fill up with fish. And most of these, the 4 white wagons that are there, I think they all have the open axle boxes with the old style of axle. So those have all been oiled, so hopefully there won't be any trouble and they'll run nice and smoothly. Well, that's the plan anyways. So we're going to start off by seeing whether the Blue Nelly can bring her goods train round the railway and get Bluebell sent off as well. So we'll send off Bluebell first. She can just toddle off on her own. And get this Nelly on the go. And she's got the whole style of wheels, so I don't know how well she's going to go around the railway. But we'll get some footage of those running. And she's making the go at the hill anyways.
Class 31 needed a bit of a bump down to the quick. And just stop these trains here. Yes, perhaps the rails were slightly slippery with fish scales or something. Although it seemed to be stopping and starting a bit, so maybe that motor needs a little bit of a service. But it made it down there, and when it's stationary, it looks pretty good. And it somehow managed to knock the bumpers straight into the back of a waiting trailer, so at least they can be taken away for repair. And the Nelly seemed to work pretty well. Again, those old style of wheels getting stuck on one or two of the points. But other than that, no real issue, seems to run pretty good. So a good contender for being repainted, perhaps. Yeah, the P-Class obviously ran very well, as usual. And just going to tidy up there. Well, it's still raining, so I'll probably find some sort of modelling project to do, or perhaps I'll just stay here and run some more of these trains, bring the Class 31 back up with some fish. But that's all we have time for on this episode of Beaglington-On-Sea. I hope you enjoyed our four Nellies and our funnels, and Blue Nellie, NCB, Dixie and Thrush would hope you enjoyed it too. So I hope you join us again here for another video down here in Beaglington-On-Sea. How many times can I say here? Who knows? But it's time to end. Don't forget there's the subscribe bubble and the playlisting. But for now, I'm off. Have a good one. Ta-ra.